Honda has been targeting a very specific audience when it comes to the Civic. Pretty much everybody. It's the car you see in traffic, in parking lots, and when you're just out for a walk, you're probably seeing a Civic drive by you at least once or twice. This right here is the 2024 Honda Civic Touring. Now, there isn't much performance or anything like that in this Touring version, but it is the most expensive normal non-performance Civic that money can buy, and it's actually a pretty fantastic daily driver. No wonder we see them absolutely everywhere. Now, today I'm going to take you on a full tour. We're going to do interior, exterior, and everything in between, and of course, we're going to take it on a test drive. So let's start off first with what is under the hood. We have a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that's giving us 180 horsepower, 177 pound-feet of torque. Now, this is the upgraded engine that comes with the Civic Touring because you're paying top money, around $40,000 for the top trim of the Civic. Without the performance, we're going to leave the performance to the SI and things like the Type R, which hopefully we will drive later on this year. Now, it also comes paired with a CVT, and to a lot of you that may be bad news, but I'll tell you right now that it's actually not that bad. Things are pretty dialed in now with these Civic Tourings. Of course, front-wheel drive is standard across the board as well, and that about does it for our specs portion of the video. Let's take a look at the exterior. So next we take a look at the front for the Honda Civic Touring. Not a lot of crazy stuff going on, but it does look extremely nice. It looks, you know, a little bit sporty, but a little bit sporty mature, if I had to say it. I mean, there's something to note. Like when I bought my Hyundai Elantra back in 2018, Hyundai was the, you know, not a lot of aggressive edges, not a lot of stuff like that. And Honda was the really aggressive body lines, aggressive front end, aggressive everything. And now it's kind of reversed. Hyundai's the one doing the crazy body lines, and Honda is a little bit more muted, subtle, and mature. I feel like the Civic has kind of grown up with this audience. So what do we get? Daytime running LEDs, very nice. No front-facing camera. We don't have 360 stuff. I believe, though, we do have some parking sensors. Nice Honda badge. This paint color is, I believe, one of the standard ones, but it is extremely nice. We also get some fog lights, which are nice to have, too. Nice front diffuser there. It's a nice ride height. It's your standard Civic. You've seen it for a couple generations now. Nothing much has changed, but it's nice, so why change it? So now we move on to the side profile for the Civic Touring. Now, this is becoming or being called the compact king, but I have a problem calling it compact because it doesn't look very compact, and it also doesn't feel very compact, and it also doesn't drive very compact. But it is extremely nice. I do like the space we have. I like the trunk space we have. I like the rear space we have. The front space is absolutely fantastic as well. I like these upgraded rims that we get for the Touring version. I like the keyless entry stuff. We have turn signal LEDs, very nice blind spot detection. All that standard safety stuff is there and ready to go. Again, the gray paint looks really nice, but there's not a lot of aggressive body lines here. It's very mute, very simple, very elegant, very Honda Civic-esque. So now we move to the rear for the Honda Civic Touring. As you can see, we got the Civic badge as well as this nice Touring badge. No turbo badge, but you know, we do have rear parking sensors here. No exhaust sound. The engine is on. I don't know if you can tell that or not, but yeah, so there's not a lot of sound. This is very much your daily commuter. So you're not trying to make a big scene. You're just in a Honda Civic Touring. You've got a bunch of nice stuff, but maybe not everybody knows that, and that's completely fine. Love these taillights. Again, hasn't changed in a couple of years now, but still fantastic. We got a backup camera that's pretty good quality, not bad. I like it. Next up, last but not least, of course, let's take a look at the trunk space. I have nice Civic mats, like it's kind of like a complete floor mat that kind of protects the carpet. Plenty of trunk room. I have a baby now, so my stroller fits perfectly in here. That's kind of the concern now with cars, like, will it fit the stroller? Well, I can tell you, the Honda Civic Touring absolutely does fit the stroller, no problem, so we like that as well. Somebody left this interesting hockey scraper. This is cool. I didn't even know these things existed, but there you go. You can fold down the seats there and have a ton of room. It's not like the hatchback version, so maybe you're losing a bit of height there with the trunk, but absolutely no problem for my needs, and I think your needs, if you're in the market for one of these, would be perfectly fine. All right, so now starting off with the rear for the Honda Civic Touring. It's actually pretty comfortable. The seats are very good. You got like this leatherette seat. There's not a lot of like two colors. It's just black with like kind of like the basic roof cover. There's nothing crazy going on here, but I mean, that doesn't make it a bad thing. I've got 3 levels of heated seats back here for if you're behind the driver or if you're behind the passenger. Middle seat, unfortunately, there is one, but you're not getting any heated seating, but it's fine. I've got 2 USB ports, no climate control back here or anything like that, but it's a small enough cabin that it doesn't really bother me. And that's what I was saying, like on the exterior, it doesn't really feel like a compact sedan, because I mean, I've got a lot of room in here for a compact sedan. If this is really what it's classified as, that's fantastic, because I've got so much room. I've got enough room. I'm 5'11" back here. My My hair is kind of touching the ceiling, you can see, but I really don't mind. I've got plenty of room for my feet. I'm not pushing into the back too much. I could do actually a road trip back here, no problem, which I usually don't get to say when I'm driving some compact vehicles. It's really tight in some of them, but this one is pretty excellent. I've got a nice view of the sunroof, and I've got a nice view of what's going on up front, so let's actually hop up there and check it out. So next up, we have the front seat for the Honda Civic Touring, and this is the place to be, right? This is the place where everything happens, and obviously I've got enough space up here. Seats are plenty comfortable. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we're driving it, but let's take a look at the steering wheel first. I've got some volume controls. It's actual physical buttons. Everything feels nice and clicky. I like that. I've got some nice scroll wheels. Very nice. I have some flappy paddles here, of course, if you want to take things to a little bit more of a sporty level. I said 180 horsepower, but we still can get those little sport elements. I've got a heated steering, which is fantastic. You really need that. I also have automatic rain sensing wipers, which is pretty cool too. Got adaptive cruise control, lane centering assist, and everything like that too, so fantastic there. I've got my parking sensors buttons, and I like these little knobs. I think people think they maybe feel a little bit cheap, but they're pretty good. They remind me a lot of the Integra. Actually, this interior reminds me a lot of the Integra Type S that I drove. There's a lot of things that are very similar, like these switches for my dual zone automatic climate control feel very high quality. I've got heated seats here too. Those switches feel good. The buttons in here all feel very nice. I've got a smaller infotainment display, but since this is a smaller sedan, I really don't have a problem with that. I've got wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. I've got Sirius XM built in. I've also got built-in navigation. I've got everything you could want, right? And then that's where your camera is going to come up, of course. I've got trip computer, different stuff like that. I can change vehicle settings from here. It's all very basic though. There isn't a lot of customization that you can do, but again, there isn't a lot of customization that you necessarily would want to do. So it kind of balances itself out there. It's very nice. Then a little bit lower, I have two USB ports, no USB-C in here just yet for Honda. I do have a wireless charging pad, which is nice to have. I've got the standard shifter, no playing around. It's just simple as simple gets. It's fantastic. Two cup holders. I've got some drive modes, Eco, Normal, and Sport, and I have a little selector. It makes a little noise when I select them. Pretty cool. I have the auto start stop button. Brake hold, parking brake is electronic, which is fine. A little bit of storage right here with this like little removable little guy here. And yeah, overall a great interior. Not a crazy colorful interior. I don't think it's meant to be that, because we are trying to cost save. We're trying to stay, either in the $40,000 range or just below that. So I think the interior of this does that very effectively. I'm comfortable, plenty of room, really good visibility, nice sunroof, Bose sound system as well. Hard to complain about it. It's very solid. I like this digital gauge cluster that we get as well now. That's very nice. I think Honda's always kind of had the edge. They've always been putting digital gauge clusters for almost as long as I can remember. So that's nice to have too, but it is again here, but again reminds me of the Integra Type S. I'm sure the Civic Si and the Type R both have things like this too, but I like it. Keep things digital. That's kind of where the market's going. So overall, great interior. Let's take it on a test drive. All right, so here we are now on the road with the 2024 Honda Civic Touring. Of course, it was nice when I started filming, and now it is raining as I'm trying to drive. Wonderful. So hopefully you don't hear that too much, but we'll try to not go too crazy, and you shouldn't hear it that badly. So let's talk about how the Civic is to live with and drive. It is probably, as good as a daily driver as you'd expect. It's done everything that I would need it to do, that I think anybody who's in the market for one of these things would need it to do. It's very easy to use, very easy to understand. It's one of those vehicles, kind of like the Mazda 3, where you just hop in, everything works properly, everything's simple and easy to use. You just hop in, drive, and go do your errands, and you don't think twice about it. It definitely isn't a performance version of the Civic. If you want that, then Honda's got you covered. They've got two other trims, two other levels, but it is nice that we do have a bit of the upgraded engine in the Touring version. I don't feel like I'm missing too much, and I feel like the price here is really competitive. I think just under the $40,000 mark with no tax in and Canadian price. Keep all that in mind. If you're American watching this, you might have a different story, but just under the 40K mark for us here in Canada, really good. We might even have some features that the US doesn't. I know the Civic Si does, but I'm not sure what the case is for the Touring. But still, like I said, so 180 horsepower is not a lot, not something to really brag about, but I mean, it can be fun if you need it to be, right? So I'll give it some beams right here and see what it's got. A little bit of wheel spin, but surprisingly, it delivers that 180 horsepower very well. Like, surprisingly well. I honestly didn't expect it to deliver itself that well. It's actually quite nice. It's quite quick, actually, when you really put the power down. And you wouldn't expect that to be. It's turbocharged, so that definitely does help things, but you know, this thing in sport mode is really good. Also, the handling is impeccable. Like one of the best handling sedans that I've driven all year, and I think that's because it has that multi-link rear suspension that keeps things so planted, so stable. The car doesn't feel rolly. I kind of know what it's going to do. It's not going to kick out on me. It's very, very nice, this system to have. Like it's really, really, really well designed. So I can only imagine when you go up and you're looking for a performance Civic, I can only imagine what the Civic Si feels like. That probably feels really good. And then the Type R probably feels crazy. So hopefully I can get my hands on both of those Civics, because already starting at like as low as you can go for performance wise, or like, you know, in the realm of as low as you can go for performance wise, the Civic has impressed me a lot more than I thought it would. I have been a daily Elantra driver, you know, like the Elantra is kind of one of the main competitors to the Civic, and I have dailied an Elantra my whole life. I never even looked at the Civic. I remember test driving one, but at the time I didn't like their design. This was back in like 2013 around, so their designs were very different. And then in 2015, 2018, they started to really come out with some really nice stuff, but I was a Hyundai guy through and through. I only owned Hyundais, I only drove Hyundais, but now after driving Acura and the Civic, hey, that decision becomes way harder should I need to buy another car again. And like the only thing that this is missing that makes it like boring, but I don't even think this is that boring, is like a manual transmission, and you know, they got you covered with that in the Civic Si. And the funny thing is it's not that much of a price bump. It really isn't. So we're sitting pretty nice here at this price point with the Civic, and like ride quality is very good. I wasn't expecting that either. Even in sport mode, we're still very comfortable in here. It's just smooth at doing everything. Like the sound system, I don't mind it. I think Bose would probably be the way to go, though. I think it only gets worse from here. But yeah, like I can throw the car around. Like I just love how like I can speed up into corners and it just stays planted, stays exactly in that sweet spot where you want it. It's fantastic. Talk a little bit about fuel economy. Now I drive in mostly in normal or sport mode because eco mode is just pointless and it's no fun. But if you're trying to save fuel, I'm sure it does work. And even at that, even me driving sport mode and normal mode, I'm still doing 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers. And at this point, I've put about 300 kilometers on throughout the whole week. So pretty good, pretty impressive. Right on par with what I used to daily drive was my Elantra Sport, which was, you know, almost the same specs, maybe a little bit faster. It had, you know, a little bit more power to it, but still, this is really fantastic. Like, I just put the power down whenever I want. It's good. I mean, you can't hate on it. Look, the CVT doesn't make things interesting. You don't feel the shifting. That's missing. And that's why I say that, you know, obviously, if you add a manual transmission or even a dual clutch to this thing, you've got yourself a fun little car. The CVT it's not great. The CVT is never great. But the way that it delivers power in this case, I've driven worse CVTs. This is okay. Or if you want to flip it, and since I was comparing this to Hyundai, talk about Hyundai's IVT, that's no good either. I mean, you can't compare those two systems. They're both not fun. But for daily driving purposes, you don't notice it, right? If you're not like somebody who's an enthusiast and you're purely just watching this video because you want to know what it's like to actually live with, or what it's like to own, or what it's like to drive the Honda Civic Touring for a week, I'm telling you, if you're not an enthusiast and you don't care about speed performance or anything, this is fantastic and will meet pretty much all your needs, right? So yeah, I think that's just about going to do it as I kind of attack these nice twisty roads as I finally get to them here on my drive. Very, very fun. And like, I'm just so impressed by the handling. That is the thing that stands out to me the most. I think you have enough features in here to justify what Honda is charging for right now. I don't think it's overpriced. I think it's perfect. And I think if you can't afford this one, you can go a little bit lower and you're still probably getting a decent drivetrain, different stuff like that. So it's still going to be worth it. And that's why, like I said at the beginning, that's why you see these cars in every parking lot, in all kinds of traffic, on every highway, in every back road. There's a Civic sitting in somebody's sitting in somebody's driveway or, you know, somebody's behind the wheel of a Civic at all times. This is such a huge platform, such a huge vehicle. And when you drive one for a while, you kind of understand why and you get what the appeal is. And I've definitely got it now. It's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth the price. I can definitely recommend it. You got the seal of approval from me. So that's it for the Honda Civic. That's it for me for this week. Stay tuned to the channel. We've got summer coming up and we've got a whole bunch of cars. All three of the hosts on this channel have got a crazy cars coming up. It's gonna be so much fun. Niall's working hard, I'm working hard, we're all working hard. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be such a fun summer. So stay tuned. That being said, I'll see you next week. See you in the next car. Take care.